Hi everybody, it's John back with another model inbox review. Today we're looking at a model subject of the Fokker DR1 triplane. This is the famous mount of Manfred von Richthofen, the famous German fighter ace from World War One. It's a nice image there. I think that is actually Richthofen's fighter, which is quite interesting. Which kit are we doing? Well, the kit we're doing is that it's not this one actually, but I am going to do the boxing history for this particular kit because it was only very recently updated with new parts and a new tool. And you'll see why that is. But this particular model was released by Revell in 1966, originally by Revell of Great Britain. And this particular kit is the one that served Revell as the triplane model for something like 40 years, maybe even 45 years. 1966, Revell of Great Britain released the Fokker DR1 with this artwork, and this is the only release of the kit in Great Britain with this artwork. 1966 also saw Revell of Germany release the Fokker DR1 triplane, again in a light grey, dark blue grey colour scheme with a green engine cover. I quite like that particular scheme, it's quite nice, but that was Revell of Germany's release of the 1966 rendition of their Fokker triplane. And then in 1967, Revell coupled up with a company called Coca-Cola. I'm not sure where they sold these models, which country was the agent, Coca-Cola was the agent for Revell, but they sold this particular kit with this artwork through Revell Coca-Cola in 1967. Then in 1968, Revell of Germany reissued the box of this particular model. They didn't change a thing, the markings are all the same. It was virtually the same box as well. But it was released the year following, this is 2 years on from their original release, 1968 there. Then you go into a weird release, because this is a company called Revell of Japan, and I think Revell used an agent in Japan to sell their kits in the Far East. And again, it's exactly the same box artwork, the same model inside that you got, but it was just Revell selling through an agent for the Japanese market and probably the Far Eastern market as well, if they could get away with it. 1968 there goes through to again another release, this time by Revell Ladela in 1968 with the original kit, with the original box artwork, the same kit inside, everything was exactly the same, but I think this kit was sold in Spain. Revell Ladela did quite a lot of selling models as an agency for lots of other companies, not just Revell. They also sold kits for Airfix, when Airfix used Ladela as a label as well. 1968 goes through to 1970, and this is Revell again, just Revell of Germany, selling this kit under the original artwork from 1967. And I think 1970 spelt the demise of this particular artwork, because in 1974 they released the kit under a new guise. This is Revell of Germany, a new style of box artwork where they utilised the picture of the model made up, and this was a common trait for Revell and a number of other companies as well in the late 70s, early 80s. They started to do this type of thing as well, but this particular boxing, I believe you had 3 different versions available for the one model inside the kit. So that was Revell of Germany producing the Fokker DR1 triplane in 1974. Then we'll go from 74 to 1974 again, and Revell of Germany actually started to utilise a different type of box artwork, where they utilised 3 different images of the kit with the markings available in the model itself. And here you can clearly see that Manfred von Richthofen, the red aircraft, was clearly viewed, and also the Werner Moss model, which was the top right hand side. That's the version that Werner Moss flew. The third one was Lieutenant Kemp's aircraft. These were all famous World War I fighter aces from World War I for the German Imperial Air Force, who flew triplanes in around about late 1917 and 1918. The triplane was it was an interesting aircraft because it was very popular with pilots, but it wasn't actually as fast as Allied contemporary fighters during World War I. It only had a top speed of about 95 to 100 miles an hour. And most of the other fighters that it met had top speeds in excess of 115 miles an hour, planes like the Sopwith Camel. 1974 went through to 1975, where this model was re-released again, but with different types of pictures. Werner Moss's was the main image there, and Manfred von Richthoven's was the first top left-hand image, and that was Lieutenant Kemp's aircraft as well on the bottom left-hand side. But it was exactly the same kit inside, same options, everything was the same. 1975 went through to 1976, and we had a bit of an oddball here, because Revell started to produce a number of kits. They weren't limited to biplanes either. I believe that there were a number of monoplane fighters under this guise, where they actually released the models under the fly-in with mini hangar range. And these produced a sort of a diorama that you could actually format on top of the box. I think the actual interior of the box formed the runway, if you like, or the hard stand outside. And then you had a number of other stands, features for different models. But the DR1 triplane, or you could mount the SPAD on top of that stand, and it commemorated the fly-in with mini hangar range. And Revell produced these in 1976, which was quite interesting. 1976 goes through to 1977, and another section of artwork here, the different type of section artwork here. This is for a company that linked up with Revell called Takara. Again, I'm not sure where Takara sold most of their models, but I'm guessing Japan. It sounds like a Japanese firm, but that was 1977. Interesting artwork. Again, it's similar to the late 60s offerings, but I believe that aircraft is all green overall. 1977 goes through to 1978, and here again we have Manfred von Richthoven's mount in the Fokker DR1 triplane, and this is the first time they utilised just one image on the front of the model made up in this type of format rather than the 3-in-1 guise. I'm not sure whether you had the 3 different marking options, but I'm pretty sure, 90% sure that it was just Manfred von Richthoven's markings that were inside this particular box. 1978 goes through to 1979, and it's basically a carbon copy of the original box but re-released with different information here and there on the box around the sides and whatnot. And I think they had a change of serial number on this particular box as well. 1979 went through to 1983, again a different change format of box artwork where they utilise the model made up. You can see here how the model itself isn't that good. It's actually quite crude. I actually think the Airfix Fokker triplane was actually better than this one, and a lot of the pro builders and reviewers believe that the Airfix kit was better than this one too. The wheel mounts there are pretty bad, and the engine, the engine cover there for that Obersorel engine is it's pretty feeble as well. Not great, but that's the kit for 1983. 1983 goes through to 1984, and again it's another similar style boxing, but this time with a slightly different top, and this is Revell Seiji. Again, another company I don't know where they marketed the models for. If some of you guys out there have any idea where these kits are marketed for, it would be quite nice to get them in the comments. But yeah, that's 1984. Revell Seiji there. Then in 1993 we had the last rendition of the original mouldings from Revell of the Fokker DR1 triplane. This is the last kit that they released, the original moulds from 1966. And again, it's Manfred von Richthoven's kit aircraft that is moulded in the kit, which is, yeah, pretty obvious that was going to happen, wasn't it? 1993 goes through to 2002, and we had a strange sort of a one-off here. This is saying it's the original mould. Yeah, it is the original mould from 1966, but it's not 100% the original mould, because the mould was slightly doctored to accommodate some electronics to render this aircraft with a rotating propeller, and I believe it had some sort of lighting effect in the stand as well. But this model was called Magic Flight, and it actually had a motor built into the nose section of the fuselage to rotate that propeller electronically. And also, I do believe that it ran on magnets. I think there was a sort of a magnet inside the stand and a magnet inside the aircraft model itself that held the kit aloft from the stand, and that's where the Magic Flight idea came in. It was quite an interesting kit, and this kit is actually incredibly rare nowadays, and if you can get a hold of one, it's probably going to fetch quite a lot of money. But that was a 2002 release of the Revell Fokker triplane Magic Flight option. Then in 2003 we have the first release of the new tool of the Fokker DR1 triplane. The tool was extensively modernised, and you can always tell the new tool because they did away with the white fin background on the black cross, and produced a red fin background. Now, I've looked at several pictures of Manfred von Richthoven's plane, and some of them had a white flash here, and some of them didn't. They were the same colour as the rest of the aircraft. So I don't think Revell are wrong in producing one with a white flash on the fin or a red flash on the fin, but it is interesting that the aircraft that he was shot down in, I believe, had a red flash on the fin. It was all red all over. But that's 2003's release, and we move on to 2013. Now this kit is now available in this style of boxing, but it's available in two different options. One as a starter kit with 3 different paints, a set of glue, liquid poly, and a brush, all in the set itself. I think they're about £5 more for this particular set than the standard kit alone. But this is exactly the same kit as you get in the standard kit alone, and they were both released in 2013. That's the model starter set, and the other kit comes without the starter set, and I don't know why it hasn't come up, but it hasn't come up. But there you go. That's a nice image there of I do believe this is a replica. I don't think it's an original Fokker triplane, but most of the Fokker triplanes that were being manufactured now, that are flying in the airshow circuits, are actually manufactured as replicas, and I don't think they're original aircraft. And the reason that I'm saying that is because I don't think that is an Urba engine. I think that is a modern engine. The cylinders look they look a bit small, don't they? So I think that's a modern engine, but it's interesting. That's the Fokker DR1 triplane. Just pan the camera down very quickly. And what I want to do before I do that is just move the camera a little bit. And then take... See if I can get this. Trying my best to do this. There we go. And that should produce an image of the model. We're doing an inbox review. Here's the box. It's an average size box. I think this kit cost me £7 when I bought it quite a while ago. It's been in my stash for a number of years. We'll just actually, before I open it up, just show you the back. There's some images there on the back. Some of the models that Revell do and some of the accessories. Some information on the side there. Not a lot in different languages, and a bit of history and stats and information on the side of the kit there as well. And apparently it's a skill level 3 kit, which is quite interesting. Why it's a skill level 3 kit, I have no idea, because as biplanes go, this model I don't think is that difficult to produce. We'll go through the instructions first, but before I do, I just want to put the decals down on the top of there so that you get a nice information sheet, safety information. This is all Revell kits release these, and it's a bit like showing your granny how to suck eggs. It's, I don't think any modelers really take much notice of those now. The instruction leaflet is it's about in between A5 and A4. It's not quite A4 size, but it's not A5 either. It's much smaller. I want to just try and get this shadow out of the image here if I can. Sorry about this, lads, but I've been struggling to try and get the shadow out of here for ages, and I think that's good enough. There we go. So it's not, is it? It's not good enough. I think it's made it worse. Anyway, the instructions. You've got the information on the Fokker DR1 triplane here, and it's in different language on this side. No, sorry, that's in English. I think that's in German, and there's some safety information and tips on the bottom. And then in the first page, when you turn over, you've got more safety information and just general information, hints and tips on the bottom there. It's very similar to how they used to build stuff. Instruction leaflets in the 50s and 60s, actually. They used to have lots of little safety tips and hints and tips. And then you've got a build guide with lots of icons there and telling you exactly what the icons mean, and which is the usual gumph. And then we get into the colour callouts. And the colour callouts on Revell kits, I've always been a bit sceptical about them, because often with Revell you have colour callouts where you're asked to mix paints 50-50 or 70-30, and this particular model is no exception. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different letters there for colour callouts where they're asking you to mix paints in different ratios to produce a particular colour. And then on this side you've got a nice parts guide. I'm always a big fan of these parts guides because you can't always see the numbers on the mouldings and the sprue trees, can you? It's quite interesting. Now then, this kit does have quite an extensively detailed interior for a small model of this type, but there is no pilot. Stage 1, you're asked to build the interior, the floor pan, the joystick, and this part here, part 3, is something to do with the guns, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something to do with the guns. It's like a gun synchronizer, so you fire the two guns together. And there's another part that goes on that as well, which you'll see how it attaches in a minute. Section 2, section 2 or 3, you're basically building the interior and the two fuselage halves before marrying them together in section 3. And then you've got an option there of the two different colourways for Manfred von Richthoven's or Luther von Richthoven, who was of course his brother. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you've got more interior detail before you put those into the fuselage and get the fuselage together. Section 4, 5 and 6 is all to do with the lower wings. Section 4 there you've got something to do with the guns. And then section 5 you're putting the guns into place, and it shows you how they fit around that part there, part 9. And then section 6 you're putting the two lower wings into place. You see them there. The Fokker triplane was an interesting design because it wasn't actually just a triplane, it was actually a quadruplane. And I'll explain to you about why it was a quadruplane in a minute. Section 7 and 8, you're basically putting the upper wing on with the interplane struts. The interplane struts on this particular model do not need rigging. The real aircraft did not have rigging except in the fuselage to upper wing mount supports here, where it had 3 wires, I believe, and that was it, just 3 wires bracing the wing to the top, to the upper surfaces of the fuselage. And there in section 9 it's showing you where the wires are. And I've got an image here of the DR1 triplane, the photo, the real aircraft, and it really is just like that, definitely. Section 10 and 11 is to do with the tail plane and tail fin assembly and the engine itself. Very simple method of construction. Section 12, you've got the engine cover that goes over the top of the Urbasorel engine. And then section 13, you're building the 4th wing, which is actually the trestle assembly for the undercarriage. The trestle assembly actually had an aerofoil section to the the 4th wing that was part of the undercarriage trestle actually had an aerofoil section that produced something like 12% of the total aircraft's lift capacity, and that was why the aircraft was actually a quadruplane. Section 14, again, you're rigging up 2 wires onto that, and that is definitely correct as well. I'm looking at the image on the computer, that's definitely true. And then you put the undercarriage assembly into place in section 15. There's a couple of anti-static wires there, and the tail skid that goes in place too. And then you've got something else which is quite interesting on this kit, because in section 16 they're showing you how to rig the control surfaces for the tail empennage. And I will have a go at doing this because I think it would make a big difference to how the aircraft will eventually look. And yeah, that's quite interesting, but they're showing you where the wires come through from the tail of the fuselage onto the control surface tabs, and the control surface tabs are actually on the parts, which is nice. Section 17, you put the propeller in place, and that basically finishes the build of the kit. Section 18, 19 and 20 are just the 3 different colourways. You've got Richthoven's plane here, that's Manfred von Richthoven, and then you've got Lieutenant Luther von Richthoven, that's his plane. They didn't fly in the same squadron, but they did fly in the same Jaster. Sorry, Gerschwader. They did fly in the same Gerschwader, but Luther, his brother, was the squadron commander of Jaster 11, which fell under Manfred's control. Sorry, there's only 2 versions to this kit. I thought there were 3, but there's only 2. Sorry about that. I've just not the instrument, the camera there. Transfers. The transfers are typical Revell. There's not a huge number there, but they are very good quality. They're actually upside down. Sorry about that. Fokker DR1 425 17 is to do with the actual build number of the aircraft itself. Each Fokker DR1 that was released from Fokker's manufacturing plant was given a number on the side of the fuselage, and that denoted the build sequence of that particular aircraft. And Manfred von Richthoven's plane was 425, which was interesting. I've always found that interesting. And then you've got the crosses. They're very good quality. There's very little ridge raising, and the register on them is absolutely superb, so I'm not expecting them to give me an issue. And like most Revell decals, they should go on very well indeed. The parts, there's not a huge number of parts here, but the parts are actually quite nice. And what I want to do is I just want to go through some of the parts that I think, and some of the aspects of the parts that I think you might find interesting. The ribbing is actually faithfully rendered there by that part. Then you can see the ribbing on the wings, very, very nicely moulded, and the same with that one there, upside down, very nice. It's cast beautifully. That's that 4th aerofoil. Can you see the aerofoil section on it? That forms the trestle plate for the undercarriage. And then you've got the interplane struts and some bits and bobs. The propeller's quite nicely moulded as well. It really is like that. It's quite a thick, broad propeller blade. It's quite nice. So that's that sprue. Take this sprue out of the way. You've got ribbing on the tail plane there, which is quite nice. I'll try and show you that. And then you've got these tabs, which are on the tail plane. Can you see they're quite pronounced? And that's the parts you lay the rigging from the rear fuselage here, where the holes are mounted. Can you see that? Onto the rear of those tabs. And there's also tabs on the bottom of the tail fin here. I think it's on the other side. There we go. Can you see that? Nicely rendered. The engine's quite nice. Should paint up nice. Some of you guys who use the oily paint washes, you get a good finish with that. There's very, well, there's no flash at all on this kit at all. The mould is really relatively recent, so I wasn't expecting there to be any flash on it. And you've got a separate part there for the engine cover, which is quite nice. The fuselage halves, they're nothing to write home about. The detail on them is quite nice. You've got that's a recess line there, which is quite nice. Recess lines on the side of the fuselage. And this aircraft, of course, was wooden construction with fabric covering throughout. And again, you've got some nice ribbing there on the top wing, which is quite nice too. I quite like that. Yeah, very nice. So the parts are very nice. The wheels there, Very nicely moulded. I'm quite pleased with the way this kit is moulded. So what I'll do, we'll just pack the plastic back into this kit. It won't take very long to put all this back. And then we'll put all this back into this model, quite easily done. There we go. I'll give you something nice to look at whilst I give you the gumph to close this video down. Right. The model we're doing an inbox review on today is the Revell release of the Fokker DR1 triplane. Its serial number is 04116 and it's moulded in 1/72 scale. The original release date of the original kit, H652, was 1966 and its last rendition was 1993 as 04154. But the re-release update model, the kit that has a new tool, was released originally in 2003. And I think I've got the 2013 variant of the boxing. There are decals for two versions. The first is a Fokker DR1 flown by Rittmeister Manfred Freiherr von Richthofen, commander of Gerschwader 1, which incorporated Jasters 4, 6, 10 and 11, March 1918. And the second variant is a Fokker DR1 flown by Lieutenant Luther von Richthofen, commander of Jaster 11, based at La Chelle, in March 1918. Now there are 37 parts on two red plastic sprues. There's no transparency on this kit at all. The DR1 didn't have a windshield. And the dimensions of the kit are about 3 inches long by 4 inches in span, and the plane should sit about 1.5 inches high on its undercarriage. Now there are a number of options and costs, and they are quite a lot, but I think it would be quite interesting to go through them because some of these models are actually very nice, and I'll give you a star rating on I'll tell you which ones are worthy of note, particularly by the pro builders and reviewers. In 144 scale, there are 4 options available. One from Atlantis, who build a plastic injection moulded Fokker DR1. Not sure of the prices on that, and it's quite difficult to get hold of also. There's a metal kit of the Fokker DR1 produced by Mimoli. That kit retails for about £3 to £6, and there's a resin kit by SRAM of the DR1 triplane that retails for about £12 to £15. Vallum do quite a nice kit, but it is a multimedia model incorporating vac form as well as white metal parts and resin cast, but that kit's available for about £9 to £12. In 1/100th scale, Faller built a model quite a long time ago, and that kit's available for about £30 to £35. And Dalman, they reboxed the Faller kit, and that retails for about £14 to £20. In 1/72nd scale, the original tooling release of the Airfix Fokker DR1, which is actually quite highly rated by the pro builders community, that kit can retail for anything from £3 to about £25. But Airfix also released the DR1 triplane as a dogfight double with the Bristol Fighter F2B, and that kit retails for something like £15 to £31. Edward do a really nice Fokker DR1 for about £10 to £17, but they do an even better stripped down kit of the Fokker DR1, and that kit retails for £32 to £37. And these kits by Edward are very highly praised by the pro builders and IPMS. Encore models do a DR1 for about £10 to £14. I've got no pricings on an old mould from Gunzai Sanyo. Hawkeye Designs, they build a multimedia kit of the triplane for £50 to £100. I have been told this kit is extremely good, but very difficult to get hold of, and as you can see the price is very high. Renwall do DR1, no pricings available on that, but it's not that good. Revell did a 1966 release original for £5 to £13. It was relatively poor, but the new tool from 2003 has quite high praise from the community, and that kit retails for anything from about £7 to £11. Airfix Corporation of America also produced a reboxed Airfix kit for £8 to £15, and Airfix by Craftmaster built the reboxed Airfix kit for about £8 to £15. Airfix Tomy produced a reboxed Airfix kit, no prices available for that. Atlantis released the Edward kit in 72nd scale, no prices available for that. And Plasti released the Airfix kit, and again no prices for that, but I'm guessing that'll be dear too. SMER also released the Edward kit, which is quite nice, for £11 to £12. There's another model which is a standalone kit in 72nd scale, and the reason why I've left it off is because it's a very, very highly praised, and in the pro community they think this particular kit is one of the better, more accurate models, and that's by Rodan. Rodan produced this kit for about £9 to £11, and it's very sought after, but not very easy to get. In 1/48 scale, Aurora did a rather poor model of the DR1 for about £7 to £40. Blue Max released one for £10 to £25. Dragon did quite a nice one for £5 to £35. Edward's 48 scale is considered to be the best 48 scale model of the DR1 on the market, and that kit is released for about £7 to £29. They also did a Dogfight twin pack and triple pack. The twin pack had a Spad D13 in it for £13 to £25, and the triple pack had a Fokker DR1, a Fokker D7 and an Albatross D5 for about £23 to £95. Again, these kits are very, very nice and very sought after. Merit also did quite a nice DR1 for £15 to £45. Artiplast reboxed the Merit kit for £26 to £30. It was also reboxed by Atma Paulista. No box prices available for that. Cyber Hobby did a reboxed Dragon kit for about £28 to £30. DML reboxed the Dragon kit as well for £16 to £28. Mr. Craft reboxed the Merit kit for £9 to £15. And Playcraft Aurora released the Aurora kit. Again, no pricings available for that. Revell's they released the Edward kit in 48 scale for about £8 to £12. Shanghai Dragon did the Dragon kit reboxed for £20 to £25, and SMER reboxed the Merit kit for £8 to £15. There's a sort of an oddball in 1/44 scale by SMER. This kit is retailing for anything between £1 and £33. It's not a bad offer actually, but it often goes for next to nothing, and I don't understand why. In 1/32 scale, there's a company called Andrea Miniatures who release a multimedia kit, and that has virtually everything: that white metal, resin cast, all sorts of stuff, vac form. That kit's incredibly expensive, but it is very highly praised by the modelling community. That kit retails for £140 to £195. Hobbycraft do a 32nd scale option for £15 to £30. Rodan do a really nice option for £30 to £55. And the best of all, in my opinion, in most of the reviewers' opinions, is the offer from Wingnut Wings. Again, it's a multimedia kit for about £120 to £135. Now, there have been some reboxes from Encore Models who reboxed the Rodan kit for £35 to £40, and Meng reboxed the Wingnut Wings kit for £63 to £70. In 1/28 scale, Revell released the Fokker DR1 for £7 to £50. You can often get this kit very cheaply, and it is actually quite a nice option. Kitech also produce a kit standalone. No pricing is available for that. The Revell kit has been re-released by Advent, Hobbycraft, Idea and Taker. The Advent kit retails for £55 to £60, and the Hobbycraft kit goes for about £20 to £60, but I've got no pricings on the other two. In 1/24 scale, Merit do quite a nice model of the DR1 for about £46 to £55, and there is a very, very unusual kit from Hasegawa called the Museum model of the Fokker DR1, and this kit is quoted to be the best DR1 model in any scale from anyone in the world, but this kit retails for anything between £475 and £785. The museum kits I've quoted, there were two actually. They are of models of the DR1 aircraft without skins, and they are quite hard to manufacture, quite hard to build, but they do look absolutely amazing. Now then, conclusions. As with most 72nd scale orbital kits, the DR1 triplane is inevitably going to be just a run-of-the-mill kit, but this model was retooled in 2003 and the parts look amazing. I also like the fact that there are decals to build something that wasn't flown by famous Manfred von Richthofen pilot, but by his brother Luther. The parts look nicely detailed too, and the pro builders like this kit, putting it streets ahead of the older tooling and equal with the best in 1/72nd scale. If you like building something even more different, there are lots of aftermarket decals available for planes flown by Josef Karl, Peter Jacobs, Steinhausers, Rabens, and Frederick Kemp's mounts, as well as Heinrich Gutermann and Ernst Judith. Kits worthy of note are the Revell and Eduard offerings in 72nd scale, especially the Eduard strip down kit. The Eduard kit in 48 scale, the Wingnut Wings kit in 1/32nd scale, and the Revell kit in 28th is still impressive, even though it's 39-year-old release. The Merit International DR1 is really nice, and Hasegawa's museum kit is absolutely awesome, but it is very, very expensive. That's the inbox review for the Revell Fokker DR1 triplane. I hope this video has been of some use. If you have any questions, queries, anything really, just pop them in the comments, and if there are any questions, I'll try and get back to you with answers as quickly as possible. I hope your modelling projects are running smooth. I hope you guys are all staying safe during the COVID crisis all over the world, and I hope you're having fun with your modelling projects. I'll see you for now. Thanks for tuning in, and bye-bye from me.